welcome to the Third High Television Africa. My name is Bivan Maguni and we are broadcasting live from the Central Business District here in Abuja, the capital of Nigeria. And today we have quite interesting conversations coming your way. In this edition, we shall look at the news headlines. Nigerian Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, launches Armed Forces Tattoo 2025 as part of efforts to boost morale of the military personnel. And at the same time, the Chief of Army Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, reaffirms Army's commitment to eradicating insurgency in the northeastern parts of the country. And the situation in Syria, where the new administration has granted amnesty to former fighters under President Bashar al Assad. And of course, talking about our discussion segment, we shall look at the fact that the new Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oloyede, has assumed office, assures Nigerians that the better days are ahead in terms of fighting insecurity. Now, the question is this one of those promises, or he has something to offer to Nigerians and, of course, Nigeria? And then in faraway Syria, there have been reactions on the toppling of President Bashar al-Assad, who of course we can call former president of Syria. What is this change going to be in for the country and of course the world, looking at it at large? And then the German president, Dr. Frank-Walter Steinmeier, is in Nigeria for 3 days. What's up for Nigeria and what's up for Germany? And then there are more coming your way, including some newspaper headlines. And once again, my name is Bivan Magoni. So let's quickly take a look at what we have from our newspaper headlines here. We have from The Nation, NANTA 6 extension of FCCPC probe of Air Peace to other airlines. And then we also have Obi visits Afe Babalola and John Mahama. And then FG to provide free meters with 700 billion naira. You can find that story on the page 8 of the Leadership newspaper. And then moving on, 2 trillion naira debt. Darkness looms as NMDPRA holds gas supply to Gencos. And then Akume Atiku trade words over 2027 presidency. And then looking at the military, just like we're about to discuss in our discussion segment, will crush Lukara terror group, according to the Chief of Army Staff. Bauchi governor promises fairness and transparency. Farotimi gets 50 million naira bail. Ghana's flawless election indictment on Nigeria, according to experts. If you want to read on that, you can go to page 16 of the Leadership newspaper. And quickly, just before we head to the news segment, Seplat Energy completes $800 million mobile asset transaction Thursday, and that's on this the newspaper. Nigeria firm releases prospectus set to double oil production to 120,000 barrels per day. And then President Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Christopher Musa, has unveiled the Armed Forces of Nigeria Tattoo 2025 logo as an attribute of courtesy, valor, and resilience of the Nigerian military. General Musa said the event was a reminder of political history and vision for the future, which serves as an emblem of pride and inspiration for members of the armed forces and the general public. He said that the unveiling of the Tattoo 2025 logo showcased the history, culture, practice, skill, discipline, and the heritage of the Nigerian military. According to him, it gives discipline and understanding of what command, obedience, loyalty, dedication, and sacrifice entail. The Chief of Defense Staff said that each element of the new logo had been crafted to reflect the military's commitment to peace, security, and, of course, independence of the Nigerian military. Meanwhile, the Chief of Staff of the Nigerian Army, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has reaffirmed the Army's commitment to eradicate terrorism in the northeastern parts of the country. General Oluyede met this noon during his visit to Borno State, where he met with the state governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, in the state capital, Maiduguri. The visit was aimed at assessing the security situation and engage with troops on the front lines of the counter-insurgency operations. He lauded Governor Zulum for his relentless effort in tackling insecurity in the state, describing him as one of the champions in the fight against insurgency in the northeastern parts of the country. In response, Governor Zulum expressed appreciation to the Chief of Army Staff for visiting the state and commended the military's dedication to restoring peace in Borno State. The Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has expressed his administration's determination to support the efforts of security agencies in the state in protecting lives and property, as well as securing national assets. The governor stated this at the inauguration of some blocks of flats for Nigerian Air Force prototype residential buildings in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State, and their families to boost the morale and promote civil-military cooperation. And that's it for the news this morning. But then let's go to our discussion segment where we have veteran journalist and, of course, security expert in person of Mr. Ben Shaman Adams in the building here, which I'll be discussing some of the salient points we raised earlier. And then we also have Mr. Udo Etefia, who is also a public affairs commentator. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to have you in the studio.
Good morning.
Good to see you again. It's been a couple of days, and good to see that we are really making progress here.
We have converged all the same.
Yes, we've converged once again. Thank you for always being gentlemen and always coming on the platform to discuss this. Sure, we shall look at the fact that the new Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oloyede, has assumed office. What do you think? Do you think this is the usual stories we hear, or do you think there's going to be a change? What is the body language you've seen so far?
Yeah, in terms of security challenges, it's still a continuous thing. Boko Haram is still there. ISWAP is still there. That's the Islamic State of West African Province. They are still palpable. We also have the bandits in north western part of the country, and of course you still have the IPOP to take care of. But in terms of body language, even when he was acting, you could see that he was always visiting troops at operational basis, and promising that he would make his own kind of a dance. And making his own kind of a dance means that he has his own ways or methods of fighting the war, because every general has his own tactics that he would play, because well under someone, he would always wish that, oh, if I was to be the Chief of Army Staff, I would do it this way. Now, the buck is now before the current chief, talking of the Lieutenant General Olufemi Oloyede. So we expect that Lieutenant General Tukul Buratai. At the point I became an embedded correspondent, and I was always, they give me the military uniform. I go with them to the trenches. So each Chief of Army Staff has a kind of a game plan, and he's always looking too at who indeed are his commanders that will deliver, the GOCs, field commanders, and theater operation commanders, like we have Operation Hadinkai in the northeast.
So in essence, you were saying that visiting the troops or being in the front line makes a difference?
Yeah, it makes a difference, because that is a morale booster. I mean, the soldier will now feel, oh, my boss is also here in the trenches, and so he's here to give us strength.
Morale.
And that is it, because it's like when there's a football match and your president is in that field, some guys will want to say, oh, let's not disappoint the president, let's not disappoint the country. So the fact that he's there is always a morale booster, and when he goes there too, there are always welfare packages, and some who indeed perform very well, you don't see that some get promoted. I still remember the case of Abu Ali, who was a major, but the terrorists that time called him a terrorist because he was terrorizing them. And of course, Abu Ali was a no-nonsense man. I remember one single night there was campfire, he was promoted a lieutenant colonel. You could see the joyous soldiers. They carried him soldier high, and they were dancing around the field.
No.
I was there. I mean, the soldiers. I mean, it was such a nice thing.
Yeah, you said something about giving them. So there are some packages. I actually saw that a couple of days ago, where some military personnel were gifted electric bikes because of their performances, and I think I agree with you on that. But Mr. Udo here, let's look at it this way. Do you think the current administration has done well in terms of tackling insecurity in Nigeria? Do you think a lot has been achieved?
I think they've done their best, but whether their best is good enough for Nigerians is another kettle of fish. So Nigerians are expecting to see, because you see, insurgency, terrorism has really done a great deal of harm to the economy of the country. Part of what people are suffering today in terms of high costs of essential foodstuff in the market can be attributed to the insurgency, because right now so many people in their communities, in their rural dwellings, cannot go to farms, cannot go out freely, because in some places these insurgents have taken over so many communities. So I think the coming on board of the new chief of staff, as he has said, one is really looking forward to seeing a change in the approach to the fight against insurgency. And I would expect the new chief of army staff to sit down, assess what is on the ground. You know, the Bible says, who wants to go to war with an enemy should sit down and take stock of what he has, whether with 1,000 or 2,000, is able to confront the enemy in the field. So you should sit down and take stock of what is there. Not that when you start after 6 months, you begin to complain that we don't have this, we don't have that. Let him, like he went to see the president yesterday, I want to believe that they must have gone there, to present to the president. I've gone to the...
Well, I think to the Syrian, I want to think like the one who indeed has been set free from captivity, because you've had one single family ruling for close to 60 years. The father will rule, hand over to the child, another child will take over in just one country. And if you check the number of cells that have been constructed just to take care of the enemies, when the rebels came on board, I mean, they just simply set free many people. And you could see those who ran to Turkey are trooping back, because you see them pledging, we are going back to a kind of ensure that Syria is free, there is reconstruction. But again, you look at the international game plan. This body has always been because they work with ISIS, that Israel, and even as at yesterday, Israel even targeted some some um, uh, some very high caliber kind of military installations in Syria, and again Israel moved further into Syria by way of occupying the Golan Heights. So it means it is probably Israel is moving further there to ensure that they protect themselves. Outside that, again, Iran, that has always been supporting them. One Iran leader at the point died in a helicopter crash. A new leadership came on board, and you could see the war between Israel and Iran. And having said so, you also see that at the point before it became a direct confrontation between Israel and Iran, it was a proxy war where Hezbollah was in Lebanon, and you had Hamas in Gaza. So Israel went in there and they did what they could do. Now, is it a plus now? Now that we're hearing Jolani saying they want to have a kind of democracy, a kind of a representative government, how would that look like in the Middle East that is mostly Islamic? Do we again begin to have maybe some kind of democracy that would be pro-Arab kind of democracy, as opposed to the Western kind of democracy? And of course, these changes you are seeing in the Middle East had to do with this Arab Spring. You remember the case of Mohammed Abu Azizi, and this was a man in North Africa here, Tunisia, who was a graduate, and his wares, vegetables, were snatched by town council people, just the way Abuja municipal area will go and snatch wares by some people. So this guy said, "Look, I'm a graduate," and the guy said, "You are a graduate and you are doing this." So he felt offended. Said, "I am going to take action that will affect quite a lot of people." People never understood what he meant. He went, bought some gasoline, petrol, a kind of sprayed on himself, burned himself to ashes, and of course, that brought the Arab Spring that overthrew governments in Egypt, Tunisia. You go to Sudan, and it is happening today. So we don't know how what is going to look, how it's going to look like. Meanwhile, the body dance of European countries in Great Britain, the Prime Minister is saying it's a welcome development. If you check France, they say, "Oh, it's a dictator is gone." Then Biden is saying, "Look, it's a good thing that he has been removed." But again, America, when you look at it, Donald Trump is saying, "Is their battle to fight? We will not have anything
I
to do."
saw that his
It is
reaction.
their battle
really.
to fight. But again, what is the position of Russia in this? Russia has been the main backer of
Al-Assad.
Bashar al-Assad, you know. But today, Russia is busy fighting war with Ukraine. Outside that, it used to have the Wagner group. Prigozhin is actually dead now, but the remnants are in Africa, helping to fight or support some governments. Now, where will Russia be in this kind of a fight? Now they've granted asylum to the deposed president.
Dictator.
So, what happens? Well, we may call him a dictator, but somebody also
That's why I
felt.
said in quote.
Yes,
In quotes,
some other
dictator.
people felt Al-Assad was a human rights. He was a protector, so to speak.
He was neutral.
Okay.
to some people.
So it's a big game that the world is waiting to see. How will Syria come out of this? But the good thing is that all political prisoners have been set free, and you can see alignments and realignments. The new people there have announced that, look, whoever was conscripted by force to join and fight against Syrians and kill Syrians has all been they've all been forgiven. So, which means that this man is coming with a kind of
Clean
a clean slate, hoping that a big foundation will be laid for everybody.
Okay, interesting. I really love the breakdown of this, but let's get back to you here. Help us to build on what he said so far. So, what is the implication knowing that a former ISIS and Al Qaeda leader is now the leader of Syria? Do you think the world would be, or do you think it is strengthening things, or another enemy will be created? Because sometimes when these things happen, you look at it, it's a welcome development, it's not a welcome development. So, what do you think is going to happen next? And do you think after Syria, there's going to be another country they are going to move to where this instability continues from?
Okay, let's still stay on Syria for now. What has happened, the expectation is that it will bring peace, lasting peace to Syria. Don't forget, in Libya, Gaddafi was overthrown, and people danced, people jubilated at a dictator had been taken out. In fact, he was killed. But up till today, Libya has not known peace. And people begin to say, was Libya not better under Gaddafi than what it is today? Now, come to Syria. We know that Syria, in Lebanon, had been decimated by Israel, Hezbollah, Hamas, because these are agents, organizations that Syria and Iran were using to back up the government, to protect the military installation in Syria. But now that Israel has succeeded in bringing them down, you find out that Syria was left open. And Russia, on the other hand, that had also been supporting Syria, has its own war to fight with Ukraine. So it really became, it came at a point that the former president did not have a backing again. And his soldiers were so vulnerable to the rebels. And that is why you find out that within weeks, they were able to move from one city to another. Eventually, they came into Damascus, which is the capital of Syria, and overthrew the government. One expects that this new order will bring peace because the leaders that have taken over now have started to give amnesty to people who supposedly were their enemies and said Syria is for everybody. We only hope that they reciprocated what our president also did by going to on his state visit to Germany. So I want to believe as they come, they understand that they are coming with their team of investors, and opportunities are bound in Nigeria in so many sectors, railway, in the mining sector, in the solid mineral, and even oil and gas. I think the openings are there. And I want to look forward to